I could say that.
It's really funny to me because honestly, I love. There's a phrase that came out.
They're in the business of killing people.
Like,
No, really.
no, not Black Sails. There was some show. White Queen, maybe was it? Where the cut line um, is something to where every great war was started for at least the love of one woman, or something like that. I'm like, you're right. That's exactly how it is.
Oh yeah. Van Gogh and his ear because of a woman.
Hi, welcome, Miss Fowl. All right. Fantastic. Okay, did everyone take a bath from last week? Yes. Did you take a bath? No, not a bath.
Almost. I never take baths. I never take a bath. Dry brush. Shower.
Okay. That works. You're trying.
So what was the thing?
Dry brushing.
I wasn't that last week. Yeah, I was.
No, yeah, that's true. You should have already been working on it. That's funny. So last time we learned a little bit about the bath detail and how to use certain chemicals in the bath water that normally people have forgotten about the healing remedies or what they are and what they do. And it's so interesting because, of course, that led me to kind of look at this month, September, for really putting a lot of details forward and allowing people to kind of see that you don't have to have a whole bunch of craziness in between you and whatever it is that you're trying to get accomplished in your body. It really can be very simple. It doesn't have to be some crazy juicer, blender, mixer involved, whatever cleanse. It doesn't have to be really any of that. If the bath is an issue for some people, then you still want to give you some good details on how to start getting this process done, because it's really important for everybody to be assisting your body at doing the detoxification principles and allowing your system to start to get a little healthier because of that. It's not so much always the idea, and this is one of my big things that might be my theme for next year. You can exercise all you want. You can eat perfectly healthy. If you're not allowing your system to pull the bad particulates out, there's really nothing that your system's just going to continuously back up, and it's going to keep causing more and more problems, more and more issues. And so unless you get active in your detoxification, you're going to struggle in those particular areas, and that's going to become something that I know people are going to get frustrated with. So why not figure out how to do it simply, and let's really, really understand that this beautiful place here at Raw Revelations allows for anyone to really take some type of step forward in terms of detox. So, with that being said, I know we're expecting Evelyn. I saw her earlier today. She said she'd come by if she wasn't too tired, so we'll see if she stops in. Usually we wait for Evelyn and then we go, but I'll just keep it moving. So I know she's on her way. The way we start every Thursday. I need it right now. Today's been crazy, which is awesome, but it's been crazy. So we're going to do our conscious breathing exercise. Everybody here pretty much knows the game plan, but for people who are following online, catching us on Facebook, Ustream, YouTube, Twitter, whatever it is that I've reposted to, the way we do this is we take a really nice count deep breath. We take 7 seconds of breath in. So you're really just filling your lungs as much as you can. Once you can't fill any more, you're just holding. You're keeping that breath in there. And then we do 8 seconds of breath out. And we allow for us to really use the muscles, the diaphragmatic muscles, to push all the air out of our lungs and get to a point where we don't have anything left. And then we do that another time. So that's 30 seconds. And then 30 seconds of just empty space, of just breathing naturally and normally, and try to relax ever so slightly, because everybody that I know out there at least has something stressing them. And it'd be nice if we could get away from that as much as possible. So if you'll join with me, like I say, we really want to focus on the diaphragm. We really want this part of the body to be active in this. Muscles should go very deep in whenever you're pushing your breath out. Your stomach should kind of blow up a little bit, leaving some more open area for air, and that helps get those lungs to really be working. So with me then, 7 seconds of breath.
Sorry.
7 seconds of breath in. Nice big full lungs. 8 seconds of breath out. All the way down to where nothing's there. Coffee's okay. 7 seconds of breath in. Bigger lungs. Fantastic. 8 seconds of breath out. All the way down to nothing. And 30 seconds of just normal breathing. Fantastic. Okay. So, anybody here actually complete some sort of structured detox program in their past? Or
I always do morning mix.
morning mix? Okay. So morning mix, it's not really a program, but we're getting there. Like I say, we're starting with you. Welcome, Evelyn. So glad you could make it.
Thank you.
Come on in, grab a seat. Yes, phenomenal. So happy that you're here. Since we don't have a lot of people here who've gone into structural detox, the main point I want to put to everyone is that detoxification can be something where you start a program, you have a certain number of days, you have a very particular purpose, a point of that detox. You're actually flushing an organ. Some people just say, oh, I'm on a cleanse. And I'm like, yeah, well, what's the cleanse focus? And they go, wait, what? And I'm like, no, I'm just like not eating marshmallows. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fantastic. You know, like I'm glad you finally cut that out of your diet. That's great. It's really interesting though because some people really do make a passion and a habit for doing lots of general detoxification. A lot of people will say, oh, I wake up every day and I have some MSM, or I do a shot of wheatgrass. Technically speaking, you were doing a very low-level detoxification program. It didn't have a start date, it didn't have maybe an end date, and it didn't really have a focus, but that's a type of cleansing program. And that can help understand what I'm talking about here, is that you can do a lot with yourself in order to really, hi, welcome, to get yourself in the readies for detoxification and doing a long-term structured program as best as possible. Hi. Are you joining us for the talk?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So, with that being said, the reason to do this, the reason to know why we're even here, why this month is going to be focused on this, is that I'm kind of tired a little bit of playing softy anymore on the whole idea. You got to get this stuff done. Like we just have to. I don't know what to say it, but the more people I see come through my office in this last year who are suffering from very basic, very general things that they could do to clean themselves out, it's one of those that it's for lack of knowledge that you're suffering, and you don't have to do that anymore. You could learn some of these very basic systems like we're going to talk about tonight, and that's going to help you feel better and better, slowly but surely. And just as you got yourself into the problem, so many people feel bad and then throw their hands up in the air and say, well, I don't know what to do, and I'm done. And that's where we can finally say, no, we can come up with a plan. We can come up with a little program here. Welcome. And now you can be doing some very simple, very basic things from the future here, because we are stuck at this moment in the worst possible sour-smelling, horrible sewage treatment plant swamp of a country that I can imagine. And that's just the plain, obvious truth of it. Like, I don't know how any better way to say that. Your food is poison, your water is poison, the air is poison, the pharmaceuticals are poison, the solutions that we have for the most part are poison, just as much as the stuff that we're trying to find and fight against when it comes to detoxification. And the end result is this major condition. I just got off the phone. And the doctor blames the person for the problem. They sit there and say, you have these issues, and it's your fault. And they go, but what about the food? Well, what about the water? What about the air? What about all the other chemicals? What about all the stuff that's gone? That's not my fault. I didn't do that. Yeah, but we're subject to it. And that's one of those where we can finally make some better decisions. I love the story that came out that said there's absolutely no nutritional difference between organic and conventionally grown produce. I laughed because the organic, although it does have some problems, and I'm seeing more and more issues with that this year than I have any other year before now, doesn't have, on the average, 4 to 6 pounds per acre of pesticide placed on top of it every week or so during its growth process. So let's take it back for 2 steps. So maybe the same amount of zinc, the same amount of manganese and iron and all of these different components are exactly the same. But this one isn't covered in toxic sludge. So let me choose the side that actually goes really well. No correlative evidence that shows that GMO food causes any damage to human beings. Then we see the birth effects that we essentially have in our population for the last 20 years that we've had GMO food available. Yeah, you can kid yourself a little bit, but then really I'm here today to kind of say, don't do it for too long. Get active in a program. Let's find some solutions. Let's get ourselves working. Because this store here, Raw Revelations and all the products on the shelves are designed to not only give you options for better food, but they're sitting here in a program system ready for you to actually start your detoxification as quickly as you're ready. That's the most important piece here. Starting with MSM, starting with a few of these other programs, these different minerals, these different ways of taking control of your body. So that is the most important reason for why we're going to talk about the rest of the things we're going to talk about today. So be bold if you can with people, family members, friends. I'm probably the only person I know of that literally does that thing where I watch somebody else put groceries on a little cabinet. I'm there buying cat food. That's the only thing I buy in a normal grocery store now. And I'm like, really? You're feeding that to who? Like, are you eating that, or is that as a party, right? You're taking that to a party and it's people you don't care about? Oh no, this is for my kids. Like, no, this is not good. And some people, they're just very unreceptive. Other people, they kind of hear me out for a few seconds, and then you can see that the little mouse in their head has to turn a little bit before they can get somewhere. But the point is to really be saying strongly that, hey, I know this is what's happening, and I know it's scary, but we're going to get through it all. We'll be okay if we start doing some of these basic things that can help us out. So let's jump into nine basic things that we can start doing, and you don't have to do all 9. So for all of you overachievers out there, you can calm down. All 9 is not going to get you any bigger of a gold star at the end of the class. 1 is honestly more important sometimes than the idea of getting yourself down and through all 9 within the next weekend. So I want to start with MSM. Robert, let me just understand something. Why did you start taking MSM?
With my joints.
Joint pain.
Yeah.
Okay. So not really detoxification.
No.
More for inflammation or pain management. Yeah. Okay. Anybody here start MSM purely for a detox? Did you know it did that? No.
Yeah, sort of.
Kind of. Well, I mean, it's written on the bag, so anybody who read the bag would maybe
But then
know.
I just forgot that. That's not what I'm buying it for my information, for my joints.
So it's great because I love when there's actually the capability for a product to do something funny. That's a secondary side benefit to the process here. And we know that we're actually dealing with something here. MSM stands for methylsulfonyl methane. And 2 major reasons why this helps you detoxify. 1, the methyl, to start the name. Methylation is the key to actually having functional detoxification inside your body. So most of us have at least heard, or I don't know if you've completely freaked out and started living in your home and not going anywhere because you are a person experiencing MTHFR syndrome, or you have MTHFR in your gene code, or whatever the testing is out there. Listen, it's a signal. It means your body has a problem methylating. It does not mean one way or the other, health or not health. Typically, it's harder to be healthy if you have methylation issues, but it's not a people who are out there. They get tested and they literally, and I get it. They're crying because they know they can never have children now, or something like that, or I'm going to automatically get cancer, or I'm just going to end up, in a hospice home setting because my life won't work once this is my diagnosis. It's a signal. It's the red flashing light on the dashboard that says oil pressure is out of control. Please fix it. You just got to go take care of it. You got to go figure it out. Figure out why. What's ripping the methylation, the methyl groups out of your body? Is it inflammation? Is it toxicity? Is it stress? All of these affect our ability to methylate. But methylation from today, the big key piece here in your understanding is it's facilitating detoxification and pulling material out of your body. So just as much as I call methylation, it's the UPS system of the body. It brings the packages in, which is great. So it brought the sulfur in. Once it drops the sulfur off, it actually takes away some other stuff before it goes outside of the body. And it can do that multiple times. These methyl groups, that's all they do is carry things back and forth. Well, do you have a clipboard? Was there one sitting there? Get you one from right here.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. The second thing that MSM does, methyl sulfonylmethane, is it actually allows for us to have sulfur going into the liver. And our liver is the place that we filter our blood. We produce our enzymes. So with our liver, and we convert a lot of hormones inside of our liver as well too. But one of the interesting key pieces here about detoxification, with the adequate levels of sulfur, you can start binding and removing different chemical toxicities that occur inside your food. So the reason why those methyl groups were so short, when you have a good, strong, functional liver, the reason why it actually works like an anti-inflammatory is because it allows the liver to do its job. It's producing the right hormones now. It's producing the right enzymes. It's filtering your blood a little more effectively so that joints, the gut, whatever is inflamed, it's not receiving a bunch of toxicity. It's actually just starting to get cleaned. It's starting to be removed. Everything's starting to balance. So that's where MSM does a really wonderful two-part number for detoxification. And if that's the only thing I can get out of you from this point forward, phenomenal. Big gold star. Okay, done. Great. MSM, very wonderful.
How do you know when it's starting to work? What are some of the things?
Are you less inflamed?
Yeah. I think what kind of symptoms did you know?
So,
you're taking enough?
How much are you taking?
What the package says, worth of the tablespoon.
Okay. So let me know when you come to the point of about 15 tablespoons. Then maybe there's a problem. MSM is going to start working almost immediately. How you're going to feel it could be completely night and day differences for one person versus the other. One person could be suffering from daily chronic headaches, major muscle or joint swelling, massive, internal colitis kind of condition in their digestive cavity, and they take MSM for a week, and their headaches are gone, their joint pain's really reduced, and they actually are having normal bowel movements. And they go, "What's this? Wow, how did that do that?" It's because it's working in all these different ways. Other people, the idea is that if there is deep set in toxicity from certain acids like uric acid or lactic acid, it might take a week or two for you to really say, wow, I'm starting to feel some better range in motion. I'm not hearing my snap, crackle, pop so much anymore. Or, I finally had a good night's sleep. I had a full day's worth of energy. Some people feel it in that zone to where they're like, yeah, I almost feel like I don't need to drink coffee anymore. I love hearing that. They're like, so I was drinking coffee, but now I just wake up and I feel so good. When's this MSM going to start working? Yeah, it already happened. You weren't paying attention. But that's that place where for certain people, give it a good solid month, I would say, for a lot of people, because the cleaning process has to get to that point where just like your room or like the kitchen, the idea is you might be able to sweep the floor, but if there's a bunch of dirty dishes on the stove and in the oven and in the sink, and the trash is piling up, you can sweep the floor all day long. It's not going to clean the actual kitchen. So that's start at the top, exactly. Work your way down.
I was going to say that I just realized I didn't have that many, but as kids get older, sometimes you get like a few brown spots on them.
The liver spotting.
And I didn't have that many, just maybe just 2 or 3. But then I realized I don't really have. I mean, they're basically,
gone.
And I just, and my bowel movements are kind of more can I say, more normal.
Normal.
And just, I would say that there's all those things you kind of mentioned, and I take about 2 tablespoons at least a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
it's really good.
It's really amazing because the difference with a lot of these products is sometimes you will feel them right away. Other times it really is cumulative to where all of a sudden, months down the road, you're like, oh yeah, hey, that one thing I had doesn't feel like it's a problem anymore.
And I think also digestion too. Does it help with that?
Of course.
I was thinking like maybe
Good
sometimes,
enzymes.
yeah, that I've kind of noticed that I don't take digestive enzymes anymore because I really feel like I didn't know what it was, but
You're
it must
taking
be
care
that.
of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got your liver doing its job.
Yeah.
My arthritis left,
Left,
over a year ago.
Yeah.
I'm jumping on the trampoline, it hurt my back a lot. Pretty soon, there's no pain
Yeah.
at all.
And
I love
during the detoxification, you can feel a little sick though, right?
Oh yes, yes. You get sometimes a really nasty frontal headache can be one of the big signs that you're detoxing. You can have really extremely loose bowels every so often. I know. I love the people who come in. They go, "Yeah, I've been taking that MSM or something like TMG," and they go, "Why am I peeing every 15 minutes?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's water soluble toxicity just being flushed out of the body, and you're seeing this effect really go through and have its function." And that's where MSM, not only is it adding so many good minerals back into the body, the way the morning mix has the berries and the salts and the shilajits and all these things mixed in is a great complex, but you're actually getting to express things that need to finally get out of the body. And I think one of the other things that I love that doesn't have anything to do with detoxification, but it's one of those that tells me when people say, oh yeah, that MSM must be doing something. They go, I went to my stylist and they said, what are you doing? Your hair is so much thicker, or at least it's not breaking, and they go, what's the secret? And of course, people think it's some crazy thing they had to come up with, different cosmetic companies or whatever. And the sulfur is how you bind up the elastin and the collagens inside your hair to make it just better functioning, better operational. The weirdest thing I think I've ever had somebody come back from using MSM is that their hearing actually improved because the fibers of the inner ear, the actual hair follicles that are there to tell you when sound is happening, started to regrow because the sulfur was there to bind up and actually regrow the cilia inside the ears. That's exactly right there, Jim.
Wait, what did you say? I don't get it. Oh, was it funny? I didn't do it.
That's awesome. Woo! That was awesome. That we were talking about hearing being improved by the MSM, and you're like, what did you say? I didn't even plan that. That was awesome.
Really good timing.
That was great timing. Great timing.
I thought my hearing was okay. Maybe it's not.
But it's interesting because a healthy body will return back to its natural state. That's the most important part of it. Yes.
My mom and dad, they're all taking medications, blood pressure, cholesterol. Will that interfere with anything?
Yes. It will increase absorption rates. It will actually make some things work better, which is not always a good thing. It is one that I would say give it 20 to 30 minutes separation in the bloodstream from taking a pharmaceutical before you take the MSM. So like a thyroid pill, certain things like that, it'll increase the absorption. Anything hormone, antidepressant, anything like that, blood pressure, you don't want it going in faster than what it's supposed to. So if that even means, and I had somebody talk to me about this a couple weeks ago, we're doing their MSM at about 11:30 now, instead of doing it first thing in the morning, because they were taking different pharmaceuticals. And they were like, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more off balance. I got some vertigo. I don't know if it's my medicines. We don't really have the opportunity yet to come off the medicines. So I'm like, well, just push the MSM to 11:30. Maybe you'll actually have good energy the rest of the day when it's coming in the body at that time. But give it some space. That is something.
Take it maybe a couple hours later.
A couple hours later.
Like what would be a good dosage for them?
Half a teaspoon, just a little bit, just presence. And that way they can start to see if there is any body changes, and that could be radical for them.
My dad has a 100% blockage and 40% blockage of the pacemaker and all that. Is that okay?
It is, and again, almost same as that. It could be life saving. Like that's.
Like, no, I gotta take my medicine.
Just like we were talking about before. don't know if we mentioned this. We mentioned this last week a little bit better. But it took about 40 years or so for us to distrust ourselves, our grandmothers, the people who were in our families who were healers, the natural homeopaths, the chiropractors, the people who did everything that they could to help the human body heal naturally. It took about 40 years to create distrust in them through the scientific system. And it's taken 60 years for us to get to the point now that they actually, most people, 100% just trust whatever a person with an MD behind their name says. And that's an issue. Just as much as before, I mean, I love the advancements in medicine, but the game that's being played is not nice. And there's an issue there. I love it when sometimes there is no answer. So the answer is, well, that's impossible. Well, no, that's not true. You just have to maybe experience it once or see somebody work through their issues, and maybe you can discover what the next steps are.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry, don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
but
great.
And you had stated that it increases the absorption
It
rate.
can.
So to be cautious with medication. However, what about like with omegas, all the natural, everything's good. That'll really help
Those are
it
synergistic.
absorb even
Yeah,
more.
that's the whole point. That's why the MSM is really the foundation starter for a lot of people to get their health back into function. The reason why so many people are stuck either in the vitamin or the protein powder smoothie kind of world and they're not seeing a big change in their body, well, MSM's not working. They don't have methyl groups. Their liver's not functional. The liver's not cleaning itself. Nothing's working. So the whole process is getting gummed up, and you think by just throwing more wet, soggy wood on top of the fire, it's all going to work out. It may or may not, and that's where we can start to see. But if you do have MSM assisting the process and it's in there cleaning and doing its job, reducing inflammation, improving energy, improving digestion, doing all these great things, you can see a tremendous benefit. Yeah, no, I love that. And you're exactly right. Synergism in the natural world. And then, again, counterindications are something that's only been invented because of pharmaceuticals. Before, the idea was, this is your beautiful green, blue planet. Go out and do what you need to do. Find the solutions there. And most of them really don't hurt each other. They usually help. I think it's funny because MSM is helped by vitamin C. And if you take mushrooms and MSM and vitamin C, you boost your immune system's function. So they all work together. They all do their own different piece, but you're an interconnected being, and so the solution should be interconnected just as well. And that's the most important understanding about our bodies. So I mentioned it really briefly, but let me just touch on this for 2 seconds. TMG, trimethylglycine or betaine, is a compound that has 3 methyls compared to the 1 on the MSM. So if you are a person who knows you have methylation issues, you don't methylate B vitamins well, you're not methylating or converting your hormones very effectively, you're not detoxing very well, this is sometimes the better step in the solution process. MSM is still great for the fact that it has the sulfur. Trimethylglycine has just the glycerin molecule on the end there, and that's used for certain things, but not quite as functional or as foundational as what sulfur is. But to get more methyl groups in the body and actually increase detoxification and increase absorption systems, there's really no better compound or system that I know of than TMG. And this is great because it's just a byproduct of the beets that we are taking inside our beet juice extract. It's just one further refinement of what's already found naturally in beets is there inside the TMG bag. So this is one where someone tells you, or you get the testing, and you hear you've got MTHFR, heterozygous 129A or C, and it's like, what does that mean? You just go, oh, okay, I'll just go back to raw rev and get the methylated Bs and some TMG, and you're fine.
So you're not digesting it all well?
Correct. You're not moving it around the body. It's not coming into the bloodstream through the stomach or the intestinal lining, or things aren't being removed very effectively. Like I say, the vaccine issue is such a scary, sketchy place because some people just naturally methylate the byproducts better than others. So you both are taking the same thing. One person can't get rid of a certain compound, the other one can, and that's why you see the differences in terms of individuality. And the methyl factors that you have, it's affecting everything from your hormone systems to your vitamin systems, your just general nutrition.
How do you know?
You could genetically test. But the thing is that just like you don't throw away the car whenever the little oil pressure light goes on, you just go change the oil. That's the thing about understanding your genes. Just because the red light's flashing and it goes, yeah, that's a problem, that's a problem. You don't say, okay, that means this body's completely toast and I'm just not going to try anymore. Health happens to those that do something about it. That's the most important piece.
And for the TMG, I think you should take that like after a meal. Is that right, or does it make any difference?
Most people get the betaine confused with what's considered hydrochloric acid betaine. So when you take in HCl, it's actually back here written on the bottle as betaine hydrochloride. What they've done is they've allowed a methyl carrier to actually take the hydrochloric acid and put it inside your stomach in order for it to properly absorb. So when they think betaine like this, they think it's the same as betaine like this, and they're not at all. This one has a package already in its hold, and it's going to deliver it to the stomach. This one's waiting to pick stuff up and carry stuff in and do different things. So this is an empty box. This one already has something inside.
So for the, yes, like for the TMG for the powder there, which is what I have at home, I haven't been taking it too much because I feel like I don't really need it that much. But when you do take it, though, when should you take it? Does it matter again?
Not really a time or day. But the idea is really just be using it and see what happens in the first 3 to 4 days of taking it, because most people, that's when they'll notice. They'll either see that, yeah, I feel like I have more energy, or, after I took it for a few days, I felt like I, was a little bit less inflamed, or my brain was a little less foggy, or some of those other side effects can start to happen. Like I say, I just throw TMG in pretty much every drink out there because it helps bring things in. It helps get rid of things. So just like my salt, the idea is salt goes into all my drinks because salt's good for the body.
Really?
The idea is that TMG is the same thing. It's there to help carry material in and out, and you need more of it. So the funny thing about the numbers here, for anybody who's more focused on numbers, is a healthy vegan needs about 1,200 units of TMG per cell per day. So this is kind of interesting. So 7 to 10 trillion cells in your body, it's a lot of methyl groups. Luckily, you produce most of them. This is just supporting. For that really terrible meat-eating carnivore out there, you think, oh, they must be tearing their body apart. They're only burning 1,800 units per cell per day. It's really not a huge differential. And both of them are extending. So it's not like one's pristine and perfect and the other one's doing the worst possible way, the things that come in from both of those can be just as damaging. If you're eating a conventional produce diet, then you're probably bringing in a lot of glyphosate. If you're eating a really terrible meat diet and you're not taking care of yourself, and you got a lot of hormone, a lot of antibiotic, a lot of other things that are going into that as well too. So neither one have no skin on their knees, and they both still don't produce roses whenever they squat in the morning. So don't think one side or the other of the table actually is better.
What if you take it and you don't need it?
Everyone needs it. If we were living in a pristine tropical paradise with no stress and perfectly handled coconut oil with no issues inside the nice game and the great produce that we're, then maybe you could be a person not succumbing to the issues of African isolation. But since that doesn't happen very often, we're just in a need for it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I love about understanding this about detoxification, again, it's not that you have to do one thing. Doing any one of these things is going to bring some benefit. It's going to change the way your body's operating. But we really need to understand that the minerals that surround us, I saw your eyes light up when I said salt's healthy. The idea is we've been told that for some reason this little bag of minerals, that's in here, salt, is what causes heart disease, and it's going to raise your blood pressure, and it's going to kill you. From the times of the Roman soldiers being paid their weight in salt, this is one of the most precious things on this planet. It's the thing that actually meant more than gold for a very long period of time. You couldn't do much with gold. You could do a lot with salt. And the unique thing here is that for our bodies to maintain its health, the solute balance is so important. And when it comes to detoxification, it's when we have good minerals that we don't absorb a lot of the junk. When we actually have very poor mineralization, our body will really easily absorb bad content into our body. Case in point on certain things, but I love to put this in there and make sure people are very, very, very scared before I do my talk next week. we are living on the edge of a radioactive pond called the Pacific Ocean now. There isn't a single day that doesn't go by that you're not being affected by it. And if you haven't felt it yet, I feel bad for you, but that's great because at least you're not feeling bad yet. Iodine is by far one of the most important minerals for the fact that it keeps out radioactive iodine. When you have good iodine, then you don't absorb radioactive, damaging, destroying, carcinogenic radioactive iodine. And that's where we can see some of what I'm talking about here about detoxification. Just by adding iodine in, the bad chemicals, chlorine, fluorine, and bromine from the thyroid will start to be sent away. It'll start being detoxified out. By adding the crystal salts, you help pull chlorine, fluorine, and bromine out of the body. By allowing for silica to be in good concentration in your body, aluminum will leave much more rapidly, and you'll start getting rid of aluminum toxicity. By having things like the fulvic minerals, from whether you do the somewhat tastier version here, liquid, or shilajit, then these minerals come in and you can finally have functionality of your cells because your cells aren't dying for nutrition. And this is why we eat food, is to actually make it to where our bodies can have these minerals in good reserves so we can stay healthy for as long as possible. So our mineral level has the best effect on why our body needs to get through all the food that we eat. Most of what we eat, we do because we're trying to find these minerals. So if you can get them in a very concentrated form, much better for the body.
I've been doing more salt, putting it in water, letting it sit for 15, 20 minutes. I swear it's giving me energy.
Well, of course. That's the way it goes.
It's not sugar, it's salt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
What is
exactly
that
right.
package there?
This guy here is the shilajit. Fluvic minerals that come from the muds underneath of the Himalayan salts. And like I say, we do have a liquid version. And I like the taste of both. This tastes like a campfire. I think it's delicious. But that's kind of one of those nice things.
That one?
Just put it into shakes and smoothies. Put it into tea. Put it into chocolate. Anything that really, I actually, like I say, I have that sort of taste bud profile that says all of that's very, very delicious. But the point here is good minerals means you're not absorbing bad minerals. And when we know things like glyphosate or Roundup that's on side of all of our GMO corn, wheat, soys, and things of that nature, the Roundup Ready seeds that are out there, it's ripping your body free of all of these particular compounds and trying to make it to where you come on in. But the great process there is to understand that if you're feeling low energy and you're finally adding salt, it's because you're getting good minerals back where maybe glyphosate's been pulling them out for years. And the Roundup's been absorbing all the good chemicals that you need to actually have to keep your body very functional and healthy. So that's the unique step that we're all trying to understand here tonight is how do I get back to experiencing really, really great health in one of these very simple ways. So all of these things we've been talking about help move things around. They help either replace it or they allow for the absorption of much better functionality. So let's jump into our next little step, and that's to start binding and allowing our body to get rid of things once we've had the mobilization of it to really see our system create a much better functionality behind it. So these three compounds, zeolite powder is a clay mineral. The clay minerals, especially this particular clay mineral, zeolite, does a fantastic job for getting rid of the radiation you're being exposed to. So if you're concerned like I am, next week we're going to do the Fukushima talk, and you're going to understand a little more as to why I'm getting more and more angry about this, and I'm getting more and more scared and talking deeper and deeper about it, is that without this right now, there isn't a food stuff that you're eating that isn't somewhat contaminated by radiation. It's in every green meal you've had, it's in every piece of dairy, piece of beef, whatever. If it's anything grown in the northern hemisphere, it's been affected. We've really been affected since the early 50s when we started blowing up atom bombs in the Nevada desert, and that was just a fun thing that people did for the 20, 30 years that we were developing atom bombs. They were just popping them off every weekend. It was just a great time. I saw a video the other day that actually had someone's home video camera in their house, and you can see in the background, atomic bomb going off. And you're like, move! I'm like, what? It shocked me, but they just had their kid playing on, and they were doing their little video, and they're like, oh, look, an atomic bomb blew up. And then they went right back to just watching the kid. No. It just, very odd than what we were doing 50 years ago. But this is important.
I have that in a skin on a cream.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know what, but that's just gonna pull it off the skin.
Pull out the skin. It's very important to actually put it in the diet. So when you're bringing foods in, eat it. Let it be a part of your MSM drink. If you're doing MSM, have a teaspoon a day. A teaspoon, honestly, any more than that, I don't know if you're really getting the full effectiveness of it. And we are working right now with a couple different companies in order to see liquid zeolite and the effectiveness for grabbing material and pulling it out of the interstitial fluids in the body. But when it comes to what's coming in your food, if you're eating any kind of fish and it's somewhere in the northern hemisphere, this is important. If you're a person who likes sushi and hasn't stopped eating it, then this is important, really important. So the zeolite here, and it makes your clothes really, really pretty. So it keeps the colors in clothes, in case you're wondering, if you're that type of person. It doesn't really matter to me, but
It does what, I'm sorry?
it keeps the colors in your clothes. So you just put a teaspoon inside your wash, and it does a fantastic job at taking away all the stuff in your water that's depressing your colors in your clothes. It's just kind of fun. Yeah, just a teaspoon. I just carry this stuff around. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's multi-purpose.
It is multi-purpose.
Well, I can't find it, it's in the laundry room.
It's in the laundry room. That's exactly right.
If you can't eat it, wear it.
Why not? So the other thing that's really amazing is that there's been a lot of science and research that has been put into, and a lot of understanding from our relations on how to use what's called citrus-modified pectins. Pectins are fruit fibers that actually do a fantastic job at isolating certain chemical compounds. So most of the pectins come from the white or the pithy material on citrus. So when it says CMP or citrus-modified pectin, they take in the pith of all the juice floored oranges or whatever, and then concentrated them. That you're not supposed to eat, I know. And then they've tried to pull out any kind of chemicals and any toxic compounds so you can put it back in to help absorb more from you. So the reason modified pectins are so interesting is they're really non-specific on what they'll pull. So zeolite does a really good job of pulling radiation, and that's pretty much it. But the pectins, they'll pull out pharmaceuticals, they'll pull out plastic, they'll pull out different types of byproducts from petroleum, they'll pull out different pesticide compounds, fertilizer compounds, larvicides, fungicides, insecticides. Like I said, if you're a person who gets exposed to tap water at all, then you just don't even realize how much pharmaceuticals are in the actual tap water. And that's a major contributor for some people to feel depressed is drinking tap water, and they're taking antidepressants at a very, very low dose. And the body says, give me more. So you get depressed. And it's really interesting how that works. But this is one of those where average person, and with the blend here, the blend of the different herbs is meant to help your body express things more. Just like the TMG. Combining the TMG with Detoxify, phenomenal partnership. If you're already doing MSM, again, great partnership. They're going to work together. They're going to help go into the liver and clean things out of the liver and start to improve the overall body function.
Yeah, that Detoxify, I bought that, 9 months ago. I had a half a teaspoon. It was really sick for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't touched it since.
Your sickness was probably flu-like, and again, Hertmeister style event, and not talking to me, then you didn't know, push on through. That's the first sign that there's something that it was grabbing hold of, and now it's trying to pull it out of, whether it was the liver, and by doing things like MSM, it might have been too hard.
I think I'm ready to do it again.
Try it?
It was too strong.
Yeah, too strong at first.
Nothing against the product.
Yep.
I think it was just
But that's
too
that
strong.
beautiful place where it will help eliminate a lot of the material that's being carried inside the body. Even if you're a person who just spent some time in the hospital and you didn't realize, like, oh, I was having some barbiturates or opiates or anything like that, and they're affecting the body still. If you, yeah, well, that's where, again, some of the sickness could actually be a part of that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very interesting. I have had people come back and say, I've almost felt like I was back on my drug of choice whenever I started doing Detoxify, because it puts it right back in the
Now I
bloodstream.
can't wait.
Terrible attitude.
So you're 2 years.
No.
So that would be your best detoxify event, like vaccines.
Correct. There's more to it than that, but
Right.
yes, but
Right.
it's definitely a good
That's
piece in the
beneficial.
process. Yes, definitely, definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
The pectin from eating entire lemons.
Mm-hmm.
Effective?
Eh, not effective. The difference when the actual lemon is whole and wet like it is, whenever you're just taking it out of the peel, is the pectins are still full of all of the minerals and the waters and everything that was helping to grow the fruit. So it's not really absorbing. So that, you know, some people, they actually like the pith, which is great, and then I'm sure there's some effectiveness, but it's not the same as when it goes through the modification process. And I'm really against modifying food, so understand it's not like I'm saying modified cornstarch, modified hydrogenated oils, and all that are great. But modified pectin is meant to improve its quality and its function inside your system. So we're not saying eat GMOs on any of that, so don't misquote me whenever you come to this lecture. Yes?
So, detoxify, that would be good for drug addicts, for those with smoke.
Smoking, huge. Huge on the smoking. Because there's so many different types of chemicals.
And then those who take painkillers, they eventually become addicted.
Yep.
So this would be good for our youth.
Oh, yeah. Anybody.
Was that from drugs and
Or experience that in childhood or anything of that nature, born to addiction.
Mix it with the MSM.
It can definitely help with the MSM. Like I say, the MSM is a great assistant, and it will help the whole process of getting it to be cleaner and more functional, and that's awesome. It's so funny. I think Facebook is actually cutting my video at 15 minutes, just like it did last time, and saying, nope, that's all you get. So, anybody who's catching last week's, I did throw it up on YouTube and reposted, so I'll try to do the same thing again because it just cut and it did come back on. So I think they're cutting me at 15 minutes and not letting me do my full talk. But anyhow, chlorella, spirulina, blue-green algae, just like the actual zeolite powders and the pectins, what they have is they have openings inside the cells, and the cells actually absorb material that needs to get out of your body. So when you're trying to detoxify, this is one of the few that I would say be cautionary though. Chlorella can pull a lot out really quick and you won't be expecting it. So start off with 2 to 5 tablets, and then every couple of days add 2 to 5 tablets, and just kind of increase. Once you feel crappy, like that's the day where your body's really releasing material. And you can stay at that dosage, like if you would eat all the way up to maybe 10 tablets, and then you just kind of feel really worn out, lethargic, and kind of broken down. Stay at 10 for another week or so, and plateau at that level till you're like, oh, hey, I feel a little bit better. And then add 2 more, and you'll probably feel it again because you're pulling out a little more material. I did that for myself for about a year and a half, got up to about 100, 125 tablets, and said, okay, and I went to doing other things for detoxification. But that's this place where they are great food, irregardless. Chlorella is still a blue-green algae, just like spirulina. So they are good for protein. They are good for vitamins and minerals, but they have another really awesome potential, and that's for detoxification.
Where does that pull from? Like, organ-wise?
Blood mostly inside the colon. So unlike pectins will actually go through the blood barrier, and into the rest of the body and go hunt, destroy, and find any type of constituent you have in the body. This will pull directly from the content of the interaction of the blood and the intestinal lining and pulling that through the colon and the digestive cavity.
Yeah, I think I said before how in the morning I'd taken a few previously, and then some morning I just talked a bunch of them before I went to work. I got sick, and I find out I don't really hardly get sick. I couldn't know what it was, and later I realized.
Could have been that.
Oh, I felt terrible.
Yep.
It just massive detox.
So those 3 that we just talked about, those are binding material up. So especially if you've had a blood test, if you've gone and gotten a heavy metals test, if you know you have some type of issue in your body, you know you've been taking some type of pharmaceutical, you know you've been working in like the paint or the car or the woodworking or whatever industry, and you've been exposed to material, then you know you need to bind up whatever's inside there and get it to start to flow out in the body. So breathing air in Southern California for the last 30 years, pretty much, I know you need it. If you've been around smokers, I know you need it. If you now live in the, like I say, the radiation pond, I know you need this. I know it needs to be a part of your system. So see what works best for you, find the ways to get it in. And if you have any questions, always let me know. Let me know how you're feeling. So the next thing that I'm going to talk to, which is kind of funny, because when I did this talk the very first time, we did not have the GI rescue. But let me just check here. Okay, so the GI rescue obviously needs to be added to here. It has a couple of the different compounds that I like to talk about in this sort of phase, but we see things like the rice bran right here, awesome, and baobab right here. So, Intrafala. All right. Nobody can successfully detoxify unless you're properly eliminated. If your body is not moving material out, if you're a person who experiences constipation on a routine basis and things are stuck in, this is probably why you have a problem to begin with. And you, again, just have been dealing with it maybe for years and not knowing that there's a better, healthier way for getting the body to be more functional. So getting the actual colon to work is a very critical step in the process. There is a lot of really wonderful function in using Trofala or the 3-berry blend in order to actually allow for some stabilization in the peristalsis of your intestines and a balancing of the energy so you eliminate more material more frequently. Anybody, like I say, if you know somebody who's using the restroom every 3 to 5 days, this is not healthy. That should not be the way it works. Every 24, maybe 36 hours if it's really slow, but even that's not healthy. We'd rather have you going 1 to 2 times per day just so you can get the material out and not let it sit in your body. And I've seen the experiment, and it's kind of, I think it does prove a lot. If you just go home, maybe not tonight, or do it tonight, do it tomorrow. Take whatever the portion of food that you're about to eat and set it on the counter. And fix another plate for yourself and eat that for yourself. And watch what happens in the next 24 hours to that plate of food just sitting out. And you realize as long as it's inside you, that's what's happening. In fact, it's actually maybe happening a little faster because you've got enzymes and bacteria and everything inside you breaking it apart, making it go.
It's not processed food, but it's going to stay intact.
Correct. If it's got tons of preservatives, it might sit there forever. But the idea is that normal, regular food, it goes bad. That's what it does. And the longer it sits inside your body, the worse it is for the rest of your blood system, your immune system, your digestive system. So know that that's just such an important goal in trying to become healthy and detoxifying. And it's so funny because I'm always out of time. And it's like I say this, and I don't even mention it, but you got to be sweating too. We talked about this last week. If you're not sweating, that's your natural way of just getting rid of certain types of toxicity. If you're not breathing deeply, like we do at the beginning of every class, a few times a day, then you're not detoxifying the gases and the stuff that your body is needing to get rid of. So when you have somebody who isn't breathing well, maybe on a CPAP machine at night, not doing a lot of the elimination they need to do through their bowels, this is where they're just toxifying, and you gotta feel bad for them. But it's definitely one of these things where they can start finding solutions. So Trofala extract, baobab, prebiotics. When we come into understanding probiotic, prebiotic, the idea is most people on the planet, at least now, know for some reason that they have to be taking a probiotic. Technically true, but they also need to be taking a prebiotic to help feed the probiotics and to keep the probiotics that are inside your colon healthy. So what I always like to talk about here is you have to clean the environment of the colon up. And then it just naturally helps good probiotic flourish. If you've got a really crappy colon, the idea is you're going to have a lot of bad bacteria. And those things are going to hurt you. And they're going to overgrow, and they're going to cause more body issues. You're going to get diverticulitis. You're going to have colitis. You're going to get inflammation. You're going to get kidney stones. You're going to have a backed up gallbladder. All of these things are just signs of a colon system that's not, a digestive system that's not working very effectively. So prebiotics help move things through because they're great fiber and they feed the probiotics inside our body so we can be a little healthier.
What was that called?
Baobab.
Oh, okay.
Going right down the line of fibers, rice bran solubles is a soluble fiber. And the reason why soluble fibers are a little different is for people who are not having effective elimination, a lot of times the thing that's stopping them is that everything's either piecing up or not really being consistent in terms of the form of what's happening. And soluble fiber is the way to fix that. So when we want to eliminate better and more routinely, soluble fiber has to be a part of it. It's allowing the musculature of the colon to grab a hold of our material and push it through and keep the changes clean and eliminating all the way down. One of the things I think that's funny is that because we are a 3 to 5 meal per day society, we never allow our colon to collapse completely down and pinch all the material out in order for it to be clean. I love people. Does everyone here actually still, like, I don't know, you guys have been with me for a while. What does your stomach talking to you mean? It's not good?
No, it is good. It is definitely, it is.
When you hear the noise of your actual stomach, most people think, I'm hungry. It's completely the opposite. Your stomach's finally empty. And what do? We go and we shove more food back right inside of it. So your colon never gets to actually take some time. Your stomach never gets to clean itself. The hydrochloric acid that you have is being used and used and used. Instead of like most cultures on the planet, you eat one big meal a day. If you're lucky, you nosh on a couple of things for the rest of the day. You're grabbing little hand bites if you're going through a bazaar or a market. And that's what we do. That's what we do to stay, they do to stay healthy. Here we just keep feeding and feeding and feeding. Once those muscles don't close down properly, then pockets build up, gas builds up, things start to back up, stuff starts to not eliminate well. We have a ton of issues. So we want to eat, have some time, and then maybe eat a little more, have some time. 3 to 5 snacking meals a day, as much as they love to say it turns on your metabolism and it's the way to get your body going, it can work, yes, for a while. Eventually, it gets tired, and it says, don't do this anymore, and we look for other ways. But soluble fiber, just as important as hard fibers, and getting your body to eliminate effectively. And then, like I said, we have a brand new product, GI Rescue. Really good for cutting the inflammation that's occurring for anybody who's currently experiencing issues. So really, really great product here. Slippery elm, fantastic. When we can use aloe vera, fantastic. When we have the baobab, obviously in here, glutamine, all meant to recover the inner tissue of your stomach and your colon and get it to start to be a little bit better. When you pop the side of your cheek, bite down on it because you've been eating something too quickly or whatever, you can't chew gum and walk at the same time, then the funny thing is that this process is the same inside the rest of your colon. As quickly as your cheek will heal, a day or so for most people, is the way your colon should heal if it wasn't inflamed, if it was finally eliminating properly and it was doing what it was supposed to do. And it all should just be, but people are not letting healing occur. They're having a constant issue, and we'd love to start supporting it to where products like this get it to cut the inflammation. The rest of the products we talked about, they will take care of the things that need to get out of your body, and we'll start to see better health because of it. So, question?
Because you brought up like biting the inside of the mouth. Can you give any more light on that? Is it due to his teeth being messed up or the jaw, or is it when you're tired? Why does that happen? Sometimes I'll do this.
Why you bite the actual inside of your mouth?
Yeah, like when you're eating. And
Good. I love the fact that you ask questions like this because you're right. Most people don't think about stuff like that. Most common is your actual tongue, because of the way it works inside the mouth, goes and grabs the inner lining, sticks just to the edge of it, and the molar is wide enough to where it actually bites down. And you have a little fold that happens in the musculature on the side of your jawline here. So whenever you go to chew, talk, it's especially that I think happens more often than not. You're chewing and you start talking, that process happens, your tongue grabs a little bit of it and it bites down. But that's one of those funny things. Chew slowly. Chinese adage, 99 bites for 99 years. I like that one. That one's really awesome. So just calm down, turtle. You just got your extra value meal. It doesn't have to be gone before you leave the drive-thru lane. Like that's a major issue for most people. So If you're military or you got that mentality, chow time is not where you sit there and see how quickly. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you don't have to eat that fast. But yes, you can find yourself in issues where you are biting the side of your jaw a little bit. So to finish up, start this process any way you can in what I talked about this evening. If you're starting in terms of getting the flow rate of the valves to be increased, great. Start there. If you want to really attack something and bind it out because you know it's a problem, fantastic. If you just like to start getting some of the things that help move things around and make it to where your body can start eliminating more effectively, then any of these steps will work. But, like I said at the beginning of this, have some type of mindset or goal, something around you that you go, I'm going to do this for the next 30 days, and I'm going to see how I feel from today till the 30 days is up. If you're starting to do MSM, that can be a great way to understand what's happening. If you start taking Detoxify, note when you wake up, I feel like I have about 40% of my brain function. I've got only 20% of my joint function. I'm not really using the restroom much. I need 3 cups of coffee to get started. And then you start taking Detoxify every day. And in 30 days, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I wake up really well now. I barely need any coffee. I don't have any issues in the restroom. I don't feel sore anymore. So you're really starting to have an effect. And that's a great way of learning this and understanding this. I did not know, I have to admit, every single thing I've talked about tonight in 1 day, week, month, year of me doing this process of natural healing. This is a continuous learning process. It's a lifestyle. Everybody's participating, and they're doing the best they can. Start with something you know and you understand. Get help. Work with somebody. If you need a coach like myself, fantastic. Tell me what your goal is. We'll set you up on a 30-day plan. We'll set you up on a 90-day plan. We'll get you working on it, and we'll just see how your body feels once you can get through a few of these steps. You'll love yourself more every 3 to 6 months if you're actively working on your health. You will. That's just the way it goes.
And is it a bonus if we could mainly try and make it more of a vegan month that month, doing the detox, because it seems like it might have a little better, more salads, soup, food. Oh, okay.
Some people's bodies do work better when they have more raw fruits and vegetables. Other people's bodies actually need more good butter, quality beef, better B vitamins, that type of support to keep their good energy, or else they won't even make it the month of detoxifying. If you send people down the road a lot of times of doing both, changing their lifestyle to being a vegan and learning how to detoxify at the same time, the funny thing is people who want to keep their health typically become sort of vegan because that's a better way to live. It's actually cleaner. You don't want to, like I say, try to change both aspects at the same time and get somebody to feel like, oh, I have to do this because that unlocks the other side. It's just not true. Really, really healthy primal diet, meat eating, fantastic people do just as much detoxification as raw juicing vegans in all of their capabilities for doing their side of the table. But knowing your body type, that's pretty important. If meat inflames you, stop eating meat. If vegetables shut you down and make you to where you have no energy, get some of the protein back in that you like and balance it and see how your body feels. But that's a whole nother talk. Because like I say, I love the one where I did the paleos versus the vegans. And it was a great discussion because both think they're right so heavily, and it's kind of in the middle that most of the rest of us are. So we can talk more about that. But if you're looking for items, then you're welcome. Go ahead and grab those, put them on the counter for Maddie. We'll get cleaned up here for a couple questions. And I thank you all for joining me. If there's anything I can do to help this process, feel free. Leave over a little bit of your name, email, or something like that to get a hold of you. And on my office, we'll contact. Our expo is coming up in 2 weekends. So September 17th at Optimal Wellness. Our expo has been such a big success this year. We've got 30, 40 vendors. We've got people from out of state. We've got so many demos. We've got 5 or 6 people coming in and doing a great job at setting up different types of exercise programs. It's phenomenal. So I really hope to have everybody there. And thank you so much for coming out tonight.
good.
I have a question, it's not about elimination.
Uh huh.